Welcome back to the Keys Podcast. I'm your host, Lillian Hernandez, but you can call me Lily, like the flower. And in this episode, it is a combination based on the 5 pillars that have held up my business for the last 7+ years of being self-employed and working and building a career within the real estate industry. So thank you in advance for listening. Let me know your favorite parts. Reach out. Follow me on social media across all platforms. And if you're interested in one-on-one coaching with myself, all of that will live in the description of this episode. And with that said, pillar number 1, your why. So the first pillar I want to get into is your why. What is your why? Why do we need a why? Why? Many of you may or may not know that I quit my 9-to-5 job of 15 years in January of 2018. My main priority at the time was honestly to be a caretaker. And I can get into the details of that story. I've mentioned it a few times over the course of this show, but without getting too deep, I basically had to take care of family, and my main priority was how can I be home more? And this was way before working from home was even a thing. So in my mind, I figured, let me just go to my bosses and readjust my schedule. I'm not asking for too much. I'm willing to negotiate, but I just need them to hear me out. And long story short, they denied everything. They were willing to give me a raise, which I thought was awesome. But there was no amount of money at that time that was going to keep me at that office, which would require me to be kept away from my family, who was in need of help at that time. So I started to game plan and strategize. And I'll be honest, I was taking this leap of faith probably for a good 2 years prior, but I just didn't have the courage or the reason why I needed to quit. I had never done it before. This was my first real adult job that I held on to so tightly. And I realized now it was definitely my survivor job. It wasn't necessarily something I desired to do working in real estate. It wasn't something I studied in college to pursue. It just fell in my lap, a blessing, and I pursued it and didn't turn back. And it afforded me a lot of opportunities, my first car, traveling, good times on the weekends, you name it. But after a while, when you start to work on yourself and you start to dig deeper, you start to realize that maybe there's more to this life than just sitting at this desk. And that's when I started to dig a little deeper, challenge myself. I knew I wasn't going to quit in 2016 or even 17, but I knew coming into 2017, I said 2018 is going to be the year. When? I don't know. But it's going to happen. Something spoke to me. So those 2 years prior, I said, okay, if I'm not ready to quit, if I don't know how to quit a job, what can I do to change my current circumstances today? So I did everything from changing how I got to work. I would take the bus, take BART, just to make things uncomfortable for myself, to force me to wake up earlier, to get more sunlight and sunshine, be amongst people on the bus, pay for the bus, walk to work those couple of blocks where the bus dropped me off. But ultimately, I stretched myself. I said, okay, instead of listening to music when I do drive, I'm going to listen to podcasts, audiobooks. And those subtle changes made a world of a difference. Even spending my lunch hour outside walking instead of in the office kitchen or at the restaurant down the street that I would frequently order my bacon cheeseburger and french fries from. So you can imagine my weight journey, unbeknownst to me, began because I started to walk everywhere. I was taking the bus. I was challenging myself. I would even walk home sometimes, which is not that close. But ultimately, I knew deep down that if I wanted to change my circumstances, what I was currently doing had to change. And if you're someone sitting out there in the world listening to this thinking, oh my God, I don't have 2 years to wait around. I got to do this now. I have to do this ASAP. Well, that's why we're going to talk about our why and why this is a 5-part series, because you definitely don't have to wait 2 years to take that leap. You can take it today. But from my experience, and some people are more adventurous and risky than I probably am, for me, it just took longer. And I'm so glad I waited that time, because once it happened, I was more than ready. So the importance of having a why is, in a way, your guiding light, your guiding force. It's the reasons why you do anything. For those moments when you're struggling the most, or even when you're doing well, you remember, yeah, this is why I'm doing it. These are my reasons. So those 2 years when I was sitting at my office, showing up every day, doing the work behind the scenes that no one really knew about, changing my habits, my why at the time was to get the hell out of here. Did I think it was going to take 2 years? Do I wish I could have done it sooner? Absolutely. But always no regrets. Because for 13 years prior to me finally taking that leap, I was so conditioned. So I had to do a lot of undoing in 2 years in order to set myself up for the next 5 to 10 years. And next year, January 2026, marks my 8th year as being a solo entrepreneur. And when they say patience is a virtue, that is actual factual, because I would not have made it this far without patience. But most importantly, without knowing my why, my whys through each stage, no matter how difficult it got or how unfamiliar the territory I was entering in, or how bleak the situation felt. Like, oh my God, I'm never going to get out of this office. What's it going to take? And sometimes life gets really real to the point where it forces you out of the situation you no longer belong in, or no longer aligns with you, or no longer serves you. And I don't wish for that to be the case for anyone. I wish for all of us to have an easeful, gradual, calm, nice exit out of whatever we're trying to get out of. But for me, it was one of those situations that had they probably offered me just a little bit more money, I might still be working at that office, miserable, wondering, when am I going to get out of here? Discouraged, just always in survival mode constantly. And my survival mode comes and goes, but I reflect back at working at that office and thinking, wow, I really put myself through it because I had low self-esteem. I wasn't feeding my brain with encouraging words or even new knowledge. It was the same routine every single day. And once I realized that I'm in charge of the changes in my life, that I have to make things happen, that's when I realized, okay, what does the future look like? And why do I want that future? And one of the most common themes I've learned listening to podcasts, audiobooks, reading books, talking to different entrepreneurs was they had a strong why. And your why could be a word, it could be a sentence, it could be a paragraph, it could be a book for all we know. But I knew once I got out of that 9-to-5 setting and I was fully on my own, as long as I maintained a lifestyle, and it was so simple, I just wanted to work and be location independent, have time freedom, and be able to wear no bra and sweats to work every day. Everything else in between or above that or below that honestly was a bonus. Notice how money wasn't a top priority at the time. And to this day, whenever I prioritized money, things just never worked out. I was either quickly disappointed, the money didn't come in as quickly as I needed it to, hence the disappointment, or I just wasn't happy with the outcome. When I thought the money was going to bring happiness or joy or the peace of mind that I'd prayed for and yearned for, when in actuality, it didn't. But that doesn't take away from the fact that money is important. But my view of money, my reason, my whys were never really attached to money. It was always attached to an outcome that was within me, for others, how I envisioned a world that I wanted to live in. And the money would just be a tool that I used to get there and working backwards. And there were seasons where I was in debt, out of debt, back in debt. It's a roller coaster, but you have to maintain and stick to your why in order to stay motivated, to stay encouraged, to remember, okay, this is why I'm doing it. Or when something happens, meaning you achieved your goals, you're living the life that you dreamt of, you're living within your prayers. Maybe your why changes, it expands, it grows, it decreases, or you maintain it. But they are your whys, they are your reasons. And I asked myself, once I started to launch my TC business and doing this full time, I'm not going to hold you. The first, I'd say year, it felt like I was holding my breath. But when I turned around and looked back and reflected like, whoa, what did I just do? I realized everything I had worked for, said I was going to do, and why I was doing it was happening, to be closer to family, to work from home, to not have to wear a bra and listen to music while I worked without someone telling me, turn it down, or you're interrupting the office, or we don't like your shoes. Why aren't you wearing heels? So I looked back and realized, wow, if I didn't have those reasons, those goals, and my why as my solid foundation, I don't know where I would be. And as I mentioned before, there will be seasons for certain whys. And as you evolve, as you grow, or maybe you find yourself complacent or stagnant, go listen to episode 80. I talk about complacency. You will have to revise your why. You will have to revisit it and challenge yourself and dig really deep. Why do you want to start a business? Why do you want to quit your 9-to-5 and get into the real estate business? I'm not saying any of this to discourage you. I'm saying that if you're willing to put in the work now to challenge yourself, to ask the deep questions, as well as answer the deep questions, it's going to set you up for a life of your dreams. Will it be perfect? No, nothing's perfect. No one is perfect. We all still have flaws and mess up. But when you have a solid why, that's going to be your checking point, your reminder. Am I still aligned with my why? Am I still doing this job, this business, this traveling, whatever it is that you envision for yourself? Is it still in alignment with my why? If not, okay, that's your sign just to pause, take a step back, and realize, where did I go wrong? What's going on? Like, how did I stray so far away that I lost sight of my actual reason why? And if you're on the other side of that coin, maybe you're doing well. Everything is succeeding. Everything is going just the way you envisioned. Keep the why or deepen the why. Either way, your why is going to be, like I said, a foundation, much like the foundation of a home. You need something strong and firm to stand on. You know, that saying, stand on business. Yeah, your why is what's going to keep you sturdy, because there are many times where I've cried, where I've yelled, where I've been sad, depressed, discouraged, wanting to quit. But I knew deep down my why was, no, we're going to make this work. This is the lifestyle I pray for, I ask for. This is just a hiccup in the road. This is just a detour. What is delayed is not denied. So I can't hold on to my perfect vision. But what I can hold on to is why I do anything. And you will be so fascinated by how much you get to know yourself, how much of the old you was still trying to creep its way into your new lifestyle. We thank our old selves, we're grateful, but we have to evolve individually, collectively. And if you know why you're doing anything, it's going to keep you laser focused. You're going to stay on track, and you're going to get to wherever you need to go a lot sooner than later. So think about, what are your whys, or what is your why? Whatever you're currently doing in this lifetime, are you still in alignment with that why? Or maybe you've never had a reason or a why to do anything and you want to create one. Give yourself some time. Like I said, it could be a word, it could be names, it could be a statement, a sentence, paragraphs, a book. It's up to you. That's the beauty of this whole exercise, is you are designing your life the way that you see fit for yourself and your future. And of course, those around you. And for me personally, my why has evolved. If anything, these last couple of years being the most difficult for me financially, mentally, emotionally, it was my why that kept me up. It was my why that kept me going. It was my why that forced me to show up even when I didn't feel like it. Because if I relied on my feelings to dictate my life and my day, I'd be broke, homeless, alone, annoying, just insufferable. A terrible person to be around, because I'll never be in the mood to do anything. But when I remember why I'm doing certain things, or why I'm running this business the way I'm running it, slow progress is better than no progress. And when I look at my why, and keep your why somewhere where you could see it. If it's a vision board, photos, a collage, whatever the case. Make multiple copies if you have to. I have it on my corkboard. I have it on my phone. I have it written down for my notes for this episode. You want to keep it as close to your heart as possible. You don't have to read it every single day. But in those moments of celebration, in those moments where you feel down and out and you don't feel like continuing, go back to your why. And I hope and pray that it snaps you out of it and gets you back on track where you need to be. Pillar number 2, budget. And today's episode, part 2 of 5 of this mini series, is all about budgets. I know. We don't want to talk about money right now, especially if you're listening in real time. It is the holiday season, so I understand. But I want to provide solutions, actionable steps, easy, digestible ways that we can either change our mindset, change our habits, or simply just feel more at ease when it comes to money, budgets, knowing our numbers, and all that good stuff. So let's get into it. A major key when it comes to budgeting and money is to know your numbers. What is the least you have to make, and what is the max you have the capacity to complete, to achieve, whether it's solo and or with a team or team member? Because knowing your numbers and accepting what and who you can afford now and or later is truly a key element to scaling your business. And just for the sake of time, all of my references will be in regards to my business. As much as I would like to talk about my personal life, I'm going to keep it strictly business. And for those out there either wanting to pivot in their careers or business, this is for you. So before I quit my job, my 9-to-5 of 15 years in 2018, I was taking a leap of faith. My leap of faith took 2 years. How about that? Every day I'd show up. Okay, today's going to be the day. Today's going to be the day. Next thing I knew, 2 years had gone by. But through that process, I knew I had to change my habits. I had to change my ways. And in one of those ways that had to change was my savings and investments. Around that time, I'd say 2016, 2017, people in the office were buzzing about crypto and Roth IRAs and SEP IRAs, like all the things that I had never heard about up until that moment. And I realized all of these people are successful in their own right and based on their own definition because they're showing up, because they're doing the work. What have I done? So I said, I can't get there overnight, but I can eventually get to where I need to be if I start little by little. So I started changing my habits, which meant, all right, I'm spending this much on the weekend. Let me just stop going out for a few weekends. Let me deny myself of these pleasures so I can start saving money. And I did just that. I started putting cash away. I didn't know what I was saving for. I just knew I was tired of being broke at the end of the weekend and having to show up at this job to work, to have fun on the weekends, when in actuality, it wasn't even that much fun. So savings and investing are a key element to having a strong relationship with your money and your budgeting, because I don't want budgeting or money to be a negative word. I want us all to build a new relationship with money, regardless of age or where you're at in life. I'm 41 at the time of this recording, but I went on this journey for almost a decade until it all finally clicked. Like, oh, wow, it was me the whole time, getting in my own way, my emotions, prioritizing my feelings over actions. My laziness was tied to my insecurities. Oh, well, I'm broke again. That's just what it is. And when you're self-employed, if the money's up, I'm up. When the money's down, I'm down. And let me tell you, my downs were capital DOWN, down. I wouldn't be able to get off my couch. And when I did, I would just be not present. I just would be miserable thinking about, oh my God, what am I going to do? I can't even afford this dinner that I'm at, and still had the nerve to go out. Can you believe that? So savings and investing definitely provides a sense of confidence. Even when I've had only $25 in my savings account, there's something about putting money away and seeing it still be there by Monday that felt good. So give it a try. Choose the right bank accounts, automate the payments that go into said accounts, and start small. If you're someone sitting there like, well, $10 a month is nothing, that's the problem. Figure out why you think that's nothing and go from there. When I'm at my lowest, when I'm at my brokest, I realized $10 a month is enough, because this is the start to something bigger. And if I can build the momentum now, it's going to benefit me way more in the future than a year from today starting to save even more. It's going to be so hard to part ways with $100 a month versus if I start with 10, okay, I could do 15 now, 20, 30. I build my way up to 100, and I've already prepared my mind to accept that I'm letting this go, but it's for my benefit. And believe me, having those little bits of savings, or a lot of bit of savings at times, have literally done its job, saved me. I know we think about our future, our retirement. That's something, if you're struggling right now, save yourself today. Future you will thank you for saving yourself today. Because there have been so many times where I just didn't appreciate the money. I wasn't even aware of the money when I did have it. But there was something about going broke again that freed me. That was probably the biggest blessing, because it allowed me to let go of the things that were holding me back. It allowed me to let go of the people that were holding me back. It allowed me to let go of the parts that were holding me back that lived within me, the mindsets, the habits, the disregard, not being aware of what I was doing or why I was doing things. Yes, it takes work. And the investment isn't just money in a bank account. The investment is in you. For the days where I had no money or had just enough money, I realized, okay, how can I be helpful? One of my biggest goals is to be able to support and help my family. Eventually, maybe even retire my parents. But I realized that's a long-term goal. That isn't a goal that can happen overnight unless, I win the lottery or get a really good opportunity, which I'm not closed off to, but I'm also going to be a little bit realistic when it comes to what can I do today? Okay, well, let me go clean up their house. Let me go help them with their groceries. I can spare an extra $50 today. Let me do that. What do they need help? Let me go mow their lawn. So when it comes to savings and investing, just changing our mindset and our definition of what those mean. But when it does come to our future, we'll talk about that later in this episode. But for now, just get to saving and investing. And it doesn't always have to be monetary. How can you help someone else? Volunteer, donate your time. I guarantee it, that will feel so much better than struggling and sitting on a couch all day crying. Okay? But reach out, of course, if you absolutely are struggling and you just don't know how to get out of your situation. I want to help you. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not an attorney, but I've been through almost all financial situations, okay? And I've gotten out of them, so I'm still here to talk about it. So I'm here to help. Reach out. Next up, I want to talk about debt. Debt isn't as bad as we all think it is, but it isn't the best either. Sometimes we need to give ourselves a loan to invest in a new business, and then we start in the red and eventually make our way back into the green. But I've also realized that I allowed debt to consume me to the point of not being productive, not doing anything. I associated my worth to how much debt I had, how much income was coming in, or how much wasn't coming in. And I figured, well, as long as I'm in debt, I'm broke. Wrong. Okay? Because you can negotiate, you can renegotiate, you can consolidate, you can pay a little bit more, you can pay the minimum. It's up to you on how you want to get out of that situation, but just always have an exit plan. And I think that's where I struggled the most, is never having an exit plan when it came to debt. Okay, if it takes me 5 years, I accept that. Let's move on. If I have to make an extra $100 or $200 a month to get this paid off on time or sooner, how am I going to do that? What can I sell in my house? Are there any part-time jobs? Any people I can help for a few extra bucks a month? But debt doesn't have to consume you, no matter how bad it is. 6 figures, 1 figure, 3, 5 figures. I know it's scary. I know it's consuming. I know it's overwhelming. But believe me, there are people out there that want to help you. There are options. There is time. Don't let it consume you, but also have an exit plan and have a little bit of a plan to get you out of this situation. If it means reading self-help books, watching videos of people who have done it to stay motivated, listening to this podcast. I'm in the process of paying off a lot of credit card debt that I accumulated in 2023 and 2024, starting from an emergency dental procedure. I had to get an emergency loan. I couldn't afford the almost $10,000 procedure, but I also didn't want to walk around toothless. It'd be different if maybe it was in the back of my mouth, but I'm talking about my front teeth. And I didn't want to touch my savings just yet. Looking back, maybe I should have, but it's okay. I faced my situation. I had to get the loan, and now I'm paying it down. The next year, I decided to get a life coaching certificate to get certified as a life coach. That cost another almost $10,000. So I maxed out 2 credit cards. Again, I didn't want to touch my savings, thinking, oh, this is all going to work out overnight. It didn't, because 2024 hit. I turned 40. I was at a wall again. I had this certification. I had this debt. I hadn't been in debt since my 30s. So to turn 40 and to be back in debt, I was a little depressed. I'm not going to hold you. So once I found a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, and I got past my emotions, I started to realize, okay, I have to work, because I kind of stopped working. I said no to clients. I was only working with the teams that were actually producing, but it still wasn't enough to maintain the lifestyle I was leading at the time. And I realized something has to change. I don't know what it is. I prayed to God, please remove the distractions from my life. And all of a sudden, people I had been hanging around with for almost 20 years we were no longer friends. So if that meant my life had to be changed complete, like to do a complete 180, so be it. And I accepted those changes. As uncomfortable, as shocking and jarring and sad as those changes were, I knew my life was more important. And I knew that my value and my self-worth, which brings me to my next point, was bigger and more important than debt, than even my savings, than even my income. My value and self-worth is rooted in the loving and kind person that I am, the generous person that I am, the smart person that I am, the fun person that I am, and so much more. Talking myself up and believing it. You got to practice looking hard in the mirror, like E40 said. But what I'm saying is, if you don't believe in yourself, who else is going to do it? No one. And as much as we have people that love us and care for us, we're all on our own journeys. No one's going to save us except for ourselves. And as I said earlier, I was in my own way. I was the problem. I am the problem at times. But I knew all of this was connected to my value and self-worth. So I had to redefine what money is to me, my relationship with money. Why do I associate my worth and my value when my bank account has a lot of zeros in it? When it's not in the negative. So I no longer wanted to feel insufficient when my funds said insufficient. I no longer wanted to feel my happiest when I could give out money, buy new clothes, support other people. Because either way, when both of those things happen, I'm still who I am at my core. And I had to remind myself over and over and over again until those tears turned into a smile, until those tears turned into action. So knowing your value and your self-worth is a key part to this pillar. Before I quit my job, the first thing I said was, let me make sure my money is right, and let me make sure I have insurance. Anything beyond that is a bonus. I didn't even care about my phone bill, internet bill. I said, at the bare minimum, how much money do I have to survive if I quit this job today? Because I put in the work prior for 2 years, even though my leap of faith was a little delayed, it wasn't denied. And I had to build up my courage and my self-worth and my value. And even throughout these past 7+ years, it's not been perfect. It hasn't been perfect at all. Like I mentioned, last year, 2024, was one of my toughest years. But that gave me the resilience to persist. That taught me, when everything is taken away from you, what are you going to do with this opportunity? Even seeing that as an opportunity. to grow instead of shrinking myself, instead of staying depressed. Feel your feels, be sad, go through it, grieve, because you're no longer going to be the same. But at a certain point, you have to embrace who future you is. And that brings me to my final point, is our future. Reduce, eliminate distractions, work out, take care of yourself physically, plus everything I mentioned above and prior. My slogan is care for yourself, care for your wealth. Because when you care for yourself, the wealth part is a mindset. But when the bank account can match that mindset as well, it's even better. So to recap, first, know your numbers. What is the least amount of money you have to make on a monthly basis? And if that means going through your budget line by line, how much do I spend on cable, internet, whatever else, phone bill? Can I get my phone bill reduced? Can I change plans and maybe do 12 months of free internet if I switch companies, 12 months of free mobile if I switch providers. But you have to put in the work to make your numbers work in your favor. And then what is your max goal? If your least amount of money right now is, say, $4,000 a month, what is a fun maximum number you're willing to work towards in the next year or two? Okay, right now I make, let's say, $4,000. My big goal is to make $10,000 a month. How can I do that? All right, let's master this $4,000 first. Let's save some money. Let's reallocate, go back to our savings and investments. Okay, I can invest in this and that. I'm going to put my savings in a high yield savings account, open a brokerage account, buy some stocks and ETFs, all those things. All right, little by little, brick by brick, pebble by pebble. And then we're going to tackle any debt that we might have. We're going to get over that hurdle of this sucks, this is overwhelming, I can't do it, to I can do it, I am doing it, it's done. Okay? And then we're no longer going to attach our self-worth and our value to the dollar sign. It's going to be attached to who we are at our core. And if you don't know who that is, get to know yourself. What hobbies do you like to do? What did you enjoy as a kid? Start doing those things over as an adult. Who said at 41, I can't go outside and play basketball? I loved playing basketball as a kid. Who said I can't do a puzzle? Who said I can't watch cartoons? Nobody. Hashtag free will, okay? And finally, our future selves will thank us. But you have to put in the work. You have to initiate and take action. Automate some things if you have to. Eliminate many distractions if you have to. But above all, take care of yourself. Care for yourself, care for your wealth, okay? Pillar 3, education. Education is a key part to success. Whatever your definition of success is, being educated in whatever field you so choose to pursue, or even a hobby, education is key. I'm approaching 8 years of being self-employed as a real estate transaction coordinator and more recently a coach to new real estate professionals. And the only way I've gotten through any of that is learning, being educated, going out of my way to take initiative and improve my skills, improve my knowledge. So I would feel more confident in the spaces, whether I'm teaching or training or coaching or simply just listening, being able to listen, to catch certain things when people are talking. So for those wanting to begin a career in real estate, it's important to research what type of education, courses, licensing, and or even certifications that are required for your city, your state, your county, your country. And that builds confidence. I can't stress that enough. But before we dive really deep into this amazing conversation that I love talking about, education, I do want to let you know Pillar 1 was all about what is your why. Pillar 2 was budget, know your numbers. Knowing your why is your foundation. Knowing your numbers allows you to have that clarity of what you're working towards, because oftentimes we associate our value, our self-worth to the dollar sign. And that was a hard lesson I had to learn. But once I detached myself from that mindset, it was a lot easier to navigate, okay, this is where I want to go in my career. This is how I want to spend my personal time. This is who I want to surround myself with. And having a strong why, as well as knowing my numbers, allowed me to pursue those paths with so much clarity and confidence, even when times were not so happy, not so joyous, and not so enjoyable. Which brings me back to pillar 3, education, and how education is key. I know most of us go to school for 18 years out of our lives and are still confused and lost. Why did I get that degree? Why did I not finish college? Why is school so expensive? Oh my God, student loans. I get it. Growing up, my mindset was go to college, get a job, buy a house, start a family, the American dream. And then I grew up and realized that's not the reality I want for myself. I went to college right out of high school. I was going to 2 colleges, actually. I was a collegiate athlete, living off of financial aid, and eventually things got so real I had to support myself. So I got a job and eventually dropped out of college. But college was always something I had on my to-do list. It just was on pause. And that's when real estate found me. Now, my journey in real estate wasn't always the best. At first, I thought this was just going to be a temporary job for me to pay for my bills, pay for whatever I had going on at the time. And eventually I got so comfortable in that job that I stopped learning. I stopped challenging myself. I started to just prioritize things like having fun, which there's nothing wrong with that. I'm 20 something years old, living my best life. But after a while, I got stagnant in my learning. While all of my friends were in college, getting their degrees, pursuing masters, I was going to my 9-to-5 job, the club or the bar right after, maybe taking a couple of trips, which again, I know it sounds like, well, what's wrong with that? Let me tell you. Fast forward to everyone graduating, getting their jobs. I'm thinking we're all on the same level. A few years go by and all of a sudden they're excelling. They're getting raises, they're getting promotions, titles, starting businesses. And I'm still in the same exact spot I was 5 years ago when I dropped out of college to get a job and survive, to be a grown-up. Yeah, I had all my fun. I even bought my dream car, which eventually turned into a nightmare. Yes, which again, this is why education is key, knowing your numbers and knowing your why. So you don't get into trouble with your car getting repossessed or getting a car boot on it because you couldn't afford to pay the parking tickets. Or in my case, you chose not to pay the parking tickets because you were too stubborn. So education is key because in this world, although degrees don't really speak for themselves or hold as much weight as they used to, if you are interested in a particular topic, such as real estate, and you feel like you have a solid plan to pursue this industry, why would you not get your real estate license? Why would you not figure out if there are any other certifications or even degrees that you can pursue? I went back to college eventually. I never finished. It's still on my to-do list. But I have found other paths to be educated and still thrive in this world, in this society. And that was through studying topics that I enjoyed, that I loved, that I had a passion for, that I had an interest for. So I took classes in music production, in videography, in real estate, in sports, film, marketing, interior design. I mean, you get the idea. And fast forward to the last 5 years, I took courses in streetwear, fashion, as well as getting certified as a life coach. These are things I've constantly enjoyed, loved, and pursued. And it made me realize if I'm going to spend my money, and if this aligns with who I am and what I want to do, or at least try, get it out of my system, then it's worth it. And now I have a new skill, more topics of conversation I can use when I'm networking or meeting new people, socializing. And I know socializing can be scary, especially if you're an introvert. But I will say, having an education in different topics, you don't have to go to college or get certified. What I'm saying is, if you're serious about a topic or a career choice, it's important to get educated on what it is you need to do. And yes, it will cost money, which is why it's important to go back to pillar 2, your budget and knowing your numbers. What can I afford right now? What is the timeline of this plan? Okay, for the next 3 years, I'm going to invest in real estate. So while I'm getting my education, or maybe I'm saving my money to get my real estate license, I'm not waiting for that moment to start being in real estate, to start working in real estate. I'm actively networking. So I'm meeting people. Who are my teachers? Who do they know in real estate? Are there any job openings that I can take right now to learn the ropes? So when I am ready to take action, I'm ready ahead of the game. And if you're someone that is considering doing this right now just as a side hustle or part-time, and maybe you can't afford a real estate license right now, YouTube University, reach out to me. I coach new real estate professionals. I want to see all of us win, but you have to have a game plan. You have to know what you're doing. Not entirely, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but you have to know at least the basics. Because the first thing people are going to ask you is, well, what's your experience in real estate? And if you say, well, it's just something I'm interested in. I watch HGTV a lot. My uncle's a real estate agent. That's not going to hit it. It's not going to get you any type of work unless you know the person and they're willing to do you a favor. You can reach out to your local realtor. Hey, can I have a sample of what a real estate contract looks like so I can study it and read it? I'm considering a career in real estate and I want to see what this looks like. Hey, realtor, at this open house on Sunday, can I shadow you, or do you mind if I sit here for a little bit? Build a rapport with people. Follow them on social media. Pick 3 creators in the industry or the field that you want to pursue. Follow them incessantly. See what they're doing, how they're talking, how they're speaking, how often they're posting or how infrequent they're posting, because that goes a long way as well. Consistency. How you show up for yourself. All of this is an investment, especially if you're pursuing a career that requires you to be self-employed. You're going to have to invest that time up front, that money up front, but it will always be worth it. Before I got my real estate license, I was just sitting in that office from 9 to 5, sometimes longer, sometimes later, just miserable. After a while, all the fun had reached its max. I wasn't having fun anymore. I'd traveled enough. I'd partied enough. I'd driven enough. And now I'm in an insurmountable amount of debt. And I know nothing about financial literacy. I know nothing about ownership. I don't own a house, considering I work in real estate. Not that that means you have to own a house, but if I wanted to, I couldn't even pursue it because I was so bogged down by my own lifestyle habits, and lifestyle creep eventually caught up. So I had to take a step back, take a pause, and ask myself, what do I want to do next? And what is going to get me further in life emotionally, mentally, in order for me to feel good about myself and to wake up every day ready to work, to go to sleep at night feeling fulfilled. And I realized I'm going to give real estate a chance. Why or how I'm going to do it, I don't know, but I'm going to figure it out. So I figured it out. Okay, California, I'm in San Francisco, California. The California Association of Realtors offers a certified transaction coordinator course. So let me do that. Okay, my office is willing to pay for my real estate license. Let me take them up on that offer while it still stands and while I'm still here, so I can save money before I quit or get fired, because the real estate market is shifty. You never know when you might lose your job, because I have lost my job. But I eventually went back. I always call real estate my boomerang. I keep throwing it away and it keeps finding its way back in my life. But I knew deep down within me that I was better than this, that I was capable of so much more. I just wasn't putting myself up to do the work. I became lazy and complacent and afraid. Truly, my anxiety of not having enough skills, not having the proper education to market myself in this world really kept me down for a long time. Not to mention the debt, the hangovers. And I was about to turn 30 and I realized, okay, it's time. We have to get it together. So I started studying, pursuing the education that I needed in order to work in this real estate industry. And I had a little bit of incentive as well. If I get my real estate license, I get a raise. So boom, there's more incentive there. So if you need some inspiration, remember, you're giving yourself a raise. What you make from a commission could be 6 months of your salary if you're willing to put in the work and invest. What you make as a TC, if you learn to market yourself, if you learn to be persistent and not be afraid of a rejection, it can also be 2 to 3 months of your monthly salary in 1 month. It is possible, but you have to put in the work and not be afraid to fail or to mess up or be seen as a quote unquote loser. I failed my real estate license 3 times. The first time I didn't even show up, so I consider that a failure. The second time I studied, but I got nervous at the last minute and I sabotaged myself. So I failed by 2%. Imagine studying for hours, taking practice tests, investing money, someone else's money at that, only to fail by 2%. And I had to travel across the bridge, pay for toll, wake up early, miss work to go take that test. And I said, never again. I'm not going to sell myself short because I was afraid of what was on the other side of the unknown. No, it's game time, baby. It's time to lock in. I spent that whole winter, and yes, Christmas season, holidays, birthdays, studying, locked at my parents' house in the spare room, just studying. I was locked in for a solid, probably 2 weeks to a month, just preparing. And it was more than just studying. It was speaking life into myself. I can do this. I can do this. Keep going again. Retake that test. You have to breathe life and speak life into yourself as you're doing these things, because that's what's going to support you. Plus your why. And knowing that, I was finally able to pass my real estate exam, and I got certified as a real estate transaction coordinator, which eventually led me to getting my first contract as an independent contractor right after I quit my job. My 9-to-5 of 15 years. 15 years of comfort, complacency. It wasn't all bad. Like I mentioned earlier, I had my fun, but I hit my peak. And some people will hit their peak and just stay up there and slowly decline, or we'll create new peaks, new experiences, new adventures, learn more, challenge ourselves, enjoy the moment, celebrate the moment. And I'm so glad I did, because here I am today, approaching 8 years of being self-employed because I was willing to take challenges and take risks on myself, invest in myself, educate myself. And I'm still willing to learn. I'm still taking classes. I'm still learning. I'm still hiring coaches. That's another level of education that takes you far, is being willing to ask for help. We'll talk about that in future episodes. I touch on it a lot on this podcast. But ultimately, education, education, education. I can't stress that enough. That's why it's pillar 3. It's dead set in the middle. Because no matter what you do, it's always going to be at the center of how you approach life, what you do in life. So think about where you're at today in life. Whether you're in your 40s like myself, in your early 20s, or your 30s, or even older. It's never too late to stop learning. You can always learn something. I took a step aerobics class last summer, and it unlocked something in me that has been either dormant or I just didn't know existed within me, because that's not the type of athleticism I like doing. I didn't like moving my body like that. I like playing basketball, baseball, just really high impact sports. And then I took that step class, and it took me out of my comfort zone to the point where I was ready to do more things in life, challenge myself, take my business to the next level, show up for my community, start building a community, because I was no longer complacent. I saw the potential. I experienced my full potential, but I let it slip away too many times. And I don't want that for you. So how can you educate yourself today and moving forward? Day by day, one step at a time, one book at a time, one podcast at a time, one video class. You get the idea. And I'm here to support you. Reach out to me. Email me, thekeyswork@gmail.com. Let's talk about it. Schedule a one-on-one discovery call. It's free. You don't know how many free discovery calls I've taken over these years with coaches that charge premium price, thousands, tens of thousands of dollars. But those free discovery calls, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, sometimes an hour, and how they change my life, because sometimes I just need to talk things through. So I'm here to support you. And if you are interested in coaching, that's on the table, but I'm not going to ever pressure anyone, because I know sometimes we just need an opportunity, a listening ear, someone who's been through it, willing to listen, to share game, spit free game. And I'm here. Pillar number 4, marketing. In business, you have to tell people about yourself and what you're selling. We're talking about marketing. If you're anything like me and you want to grow your business in 2026 and beyond, you definitely can't just rely on luck or word of mouth or even hoping people somehow will find you. Believe me, I've tried that. My arrogance got the best of me, and I almost lost my entire business. We don't want to go through that, okay? I definitely don't want to go through that again, which is why I'm sharing these 3 major tips with you that I'm going to execute on, and I would like for you all to execute if you're having trouble marketing your business. So these 3 tips are something to consider as well as take action on. And when you fully master these 3 things, you don't just attract more customers, you definitely build a business that people trust, they talk about, and keep coming back to. That's what we want, right? Recurring business, steady streams of income, overflowing streams of income. I know I want that. So let's jump into it. So the first tip is focusing on having clear and consistent messaging. Many of you follow me because of my real estate content, and that's because I've been consistent with relaying topics surrounded by and rooted in real estate. So I was able to branch off and do some other conversations around business, mindset, even marketing, education, budgeting, because I have my overarching topic, which is real estate. Then I can give you transaction coordination, business tips, mindset, but it's all consistent and clear because that's what it's rooted in. So I want to position myself as the go-to for said topic or business. So when people want help or training or just have general questions, I'm top of mind. When I show up online on social media with this podcast, I'm pushing out a lot of the same content, but I'm packaging it in a different manner that is still clear and consistent with my message and my target audience. But if I stray away from it and start talking about food and fashion, people are going to be confused and not look at me as a go-to. They're going to say, is she a coach or is she just sharing her lifestyle? I'm so confused. I don't know. I'm just going to go to the next person. So if you were thinking all of your content had to be this original, different piece of content, or your ads or your email marketing or your DMs had to be different, no. The overall theme and topics that you're serving and servicing and providing and selling just have to be related, and you have to consistently relay that message over and over again. Believe me, I have worked in the real estate industry for 21 plus years as a transaction coordinator. But my family, my friends, even my community members, they still think I work in lending or that I'm a notary. I'm none of those things. I have my real estate license, and they always go, "Oh, you sell real estate, right?" No. I laugh because no matter how many times you say it, people will still get it wrong, but they refer to me and associate me with real estate. So no matter how they found me, they still found me. And then when we're one-on-one or in a smaller group setting, I can then clarify what my messaging and what it is I'm serving or selling to said person or group of people. So you don't have to focus on everything about real estate. You can narrow it down to your city, your county, your state, and just talk about that 100 times. Make one long vlog and then make 100 clips from that if you're going to utilize social media. But we'll get into the social media aspect of things later on in this episode. I want to move on to the next tip. Community is key. Not followers, not subscribers, not even paid customers. Because when I'm constantly selling and only talking about the bottom line or how much I made, that's not going to be the best business strategy for me. And personally, when I'm watching someone or when I choose to follow someone or subscribe or even purchase from them, it's because I can relate to them. It's because I'm interacting with another human. So not only do I want to position myself as an expert in my field, but I want to surround myself with like-minded individuals, whether they pay or not. I want them to know that I'm here to help them. I'm here to advocate for them. I'm here to answer questions. And vice versa. Hey, I need your help. I need your support. Let's build this business together. Watch me do it from the ground up. Follow my journey. I want to share my 21 plus years of expertise with you all during this live stream. I'm going to start a podcast that's for free and give you all of the free knowledge and game that I've learned over the years on a weekly basis, because that's how much I yearn for community and to reach the people more than I do $1. Of course, I want to make money. We all need to. We need it to survive. We need it to thrive, and our livelihood depends on it. but the basis of my business is not built on the dollar amount. That's just one aspect of this. And having a community, a loyal, respectful community, will take you further than just having an email list, a group of followers that you don't talk to, that you don't interact with, that you don't DM or message or email on a weekly basis. But if you have a community of people when you're first getting started and you remember those discovery calls that you've had with them where they were struggling and they needed your help the most, because once you start growing and expanding, those stories are going to start to fade into the distance. But those people that you helped, those people that you reached, whether it was for free or a discounted rate or even fully paid, they're going to remember you because you made a positive impact in their life. You didn't force them to buy anything. You didn't force them to promote your business. You just had a solid and honest interaction with them. And they probably told someone that they know, hey, go follow this podcast. Go schedule a call with Lillian. She has a great coaching business. That goes further than you constantly trying to make a sale with every single post or email or text message, commercial, however you decide to market yourself. Prioritizing community over the numbers. Even prioritizing community over logos, over brand sayings and quotes. If I'm not aligned with my messaging, if my content or my messaging or how I present myself, even when I'm not working, isn't aligned with what I'm selling or preaching or sharing, it's going to all fall to the wayside and it's not going to stick and it's not going to build trust. So community is key. Community is going to hold you down when you're feeling your lowest. Community is going to uplift you. Community is going to be the people that you can reach out to, ask for help, to run polls, to ask for feedback. I love a journey and I love a transformation. There are so many people I follow, some I even pay to follow because I'm that invested in them as a human. I'll watch their content on a weekly basis. I'll listen to their podcast. And some have valuable information. Others I genuinely just love to support. And that's the type of business I consistently need and want to run. And if that is the same for you, then make community a priority. Community is so key. I mean, they become your advocates. You advocate for them. It's a beautiful cycle that I love. And I'm so grateful I realized I was missing in the last couple of years. I ran my business strictly off referrals. I didn't know these people. They just knew me by my work. But when I started this podcast and my YouTube channel, I realized people don't really know me. And I'm not reaching the people that I want to reach. So let me just start sharing my story, sharing my behind the scenes and see what happens. And so far, so good. Which brings me into my next and final major tip is create and serve to provide a solution. All of our businesses should be filling a gap, providing a need, alleviating people of stress, providing them with more time, ease. So if your main way of promoting and marketing yourself is through social media, make sure that your content aligns not just with your message, builds community, but also solves a problem, provides a solution. And then you can really start creating content, picking the platform you want to use. YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, X, Snapchat, your website, a newsletter, a podcast. Sky's the limit. You can buy ads, you can buy billboards, you can buy digital billboards at a baseball game, a basketball game. I have even seen people wrap their cars. There are so many ways that you can market yourself, but I think if we all follow these 3 steps and then start creating the content, it'll make so much more sense for you as well and not be so stressful of, oh my God, what am I going to post now? What do I say? What do I do? When you already know what it is, the story that you're telling, the journey that you have them on, then it'll be so much easier to create that content because the ideas will just start flowing. You can even start with one piece of content that asks a question and have your audience dictate the next post. Because that's who we're serving. I can give you guys all the information. I can talk about my journey all I want. But if it's not providing you all with a solution or an answer, guidance, clear direction, you're not going to follow me anymore. You're not going to listen anymore. You're not going to trust me. So once you've gotten your clear message, you know the community that you want to serve, and you've decided on the main platform you want to focus on, or maybe you're someone that wants to focus on all of them. It's up to you. You can create short videos, educational posts, behind the scenes, how-tos. Just make sure that they are aligned with your messaging, the community you're serving, and the desired outcome you want. That is aligned with who you are as a business person, as a business, and why you're doing this in the first place. And don't be afraid to rinse and repeat, talking about the same things over and over again until it's ingrained in people's minds. Because the internet is so quick and fast and on to the next. So if you wake up and just decide, I'm going to make 100 posts about the same topic and just keep reposting and reusing this content until it hits. I'm going to schedule it out for the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 4 months, whatever your timeline is, and see what happens. But I'm also going to continue to reach out to my community, ask questions, reply to comments. Don't forget that either. If you're using social media or even email marketing, respond back to your comments. Of course, make sure it's not a bot, but respond back to your comments. DM people directly. Go into the groups on Facebook and see who's hurting, who needs the most help. Give them that olive branch. Say, hey, I just want to introduce myself. This is what I do. If you're interested, here's my calendar. Most of you have met me because I've done that on Facebook. And it's not to be salesy or anything. I've spoken to so many of you off the strength of you just needed a listening ear. And maybe that's not the best practice for those that are trying to make money. But for me, that's not what I'm leading with. I know the money's going to find me in some way, shape, or form. And based on how I show up, who I show up for. But if someone just needs a listening ear for that moment, I'm going to provide that. That's okay. And if this podcast that I'm doing for free also helps someone, even better. But you have to decide who you're talking to, what you're going to say, and be relentless about posting about it. And do not ignore your clients, your customers, your community in that process. This is a two-way street. Strangers pay our bills. I heard that the other day. I forgot who said it. But strangers pay our bills. Isn't that wild? Even if your parents or your loved ones, your significant other pays your bills, a stranger paid them to make the money to pay your bills. Okay? So be kind to strangers. You never know what people are going through. Continue to build community, have a clear, concise message, and provide a solution. And finally, pillar number 5, mindset. And before we wrap up this episode, I do want to remind you to visit my website, LillianHernandez.com, to schedule a free one-on-one discovery call with me. Whether you are listening to this in real time or in the future, I'm here to help you and we can figure out what's going on, patch up any leaks, unblock any areas where you are stuck, and go from there. And as a special bonus for this episode, I'm still offering my 2026 planning sessions. All of that will be in the description of this episode. Now let's wrap this thing up. Success is present in each day we are given. Everything and everyone else is a bonus. Remain a student. Believe in you, remember why you are doing this, and keep going. So this is officially the 3-year anniversary episode. Let's go. 3 years of podcasting, 85 episodes deep. I can't believe it, but I can because here we are. Thank you all for your undivided support each week that I've posted an episode. Sometimes there were gaps, but you stuck with me. We are learning and growing together. And again, there are no gatekeepers here because I truly believe in sharing is caring, but also transparency. In this journey that I'm on, I didn't get here alone. I didn't get here because I knew what I was doing. I didn't get here because I didn't have faith. No, I studied, I learned, I figured things out, and I'm still figuring things out. But this time, behind my mic, behind my computer, behind my desk, I'm documenting the journey and sharing it all with you in hopes to inspire, encourage, uplift, and get us all taking action on our dreams, because that's what it's all about. Living a life that we enjoy, that we feel free in each and every day. Even when things are rough, tough, I still find joy even in the hardships, which is what today's episode is all about, mindset. Mindset is pillar number 5 of 5 in this 5-part mini-series that I did leading up to the 3-year anniversary, because I thought it was important to share how I've lasted 7+ years, not just within the real estate industry, but self-employed. 3 years ago, this podcast was actually called the Transaction Care Podcast, which was an extension of my YouTube channel. But I realized somewhere along the way, this was deeper than just real estate. This is deeper than just how to manage a file, how to audit a file. And that's when I changed the name from Transaction Care to the Keys Podcast. So within this 3-year journey, things have changed. Things have gone well. Things have fallen apart. But I'm grateful I documented this journey because you can all see that it's imperfect. It's not always pretty. But if I didn't have the right mindset or tools in place in order to keep me encouraged, to keep me going, and be okay with taking breaks and saying no, I wouldn't have been able to press on and reach 85 episodes, 3 years of this show. I do believe in longevity, but a lot of the times I was chasing that instant gratification, and having that mindset of instant gratification is exhausting. It really is, because I'm constantly chasing these fleeting results instead of building a lifestyle, embodying the habits that are required to show up every single day to have a quality product. And outside of business and sales and money, having a quality of life. I want to do activities and go to events and be surrounded by people that I can learn from, that I enjoy supporting, that I respect. And when I respect them, it leads to loyalty. And connected to that is community. And I truly value community. And it took me a while to realize that at first this show was all about just me sharing tips about being a TC, a transaction coordinator, working in real estate, which at first was fun. It was great. It felt wonderful. And then it started to become self-serving. And I wanted to create a platform, a brand, a business, a community that was rooted in something deeper than what I've been through. I think it's important to share your journey and be authentic and take what you've learned, me specifically, what I've learned, and share it so the next person behind me or next to me or even in front of me can learn from, so we can get to where we're intended to go a little smoother, with more ease. All of our journeys are going to be bumpy. I always leave room for errors and mistakes and setbacks. That's normal. But again, that circles back to having the right mindset and the right tools. And those tools can be anything from words of affirmations, prayer, books, music, the people you surround yourself with. If you want to be an entrepreneur, but right now you're sitting behind your desk or working at a place you're not really happy with, embody that. Embody the future you. I am an entrepreneur. I will be an entrepreneur. I'm working towards being an entrepreneur. Before you catch yourself saying, I hate this job, I want to get out of here, or maybe you've already said it, it's okay. Follow it up with something positive. Follow it up with something that's affirming to you in your journey ahead, so you can get closer to it. So when that moment appears and finds you, you will be ready mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Because physically, it's easy to do a job. It's easy to show up, get the work done, go home, come back. But when you want to invest in yourself wholeheartedly, it takes practice believing in yourself. I grew up with the utmost confidence in myself and my abilities. I relied on a lot of my natural talent. But after a while, that natural talent wears off. It fades away. You get older, you get crankier, you get achier. When I was becoming an entrepreneur, becoming self-employed, I found other entrepreneurs that had quit their jobs, that were creating content, that were doing the things that I envisioned for myself. And I immersed myself in what they were doing and took the pieces that worked for them, that aligned with me, and applied it into my life. It's one thing to have the mindset, but it's another thing to have the mindset to be able to take action. Action, action, action. In fact, that's probably going to be a pillar in itself. In these first 7 years of being self-employed, I've relied on these 5 pillars. My why, knowing my numbers and my budget, being educated, relying on my education, continuously educating myself, then marketing myself, putting myself out there, not being afraid of rejection, not being afraid of failing publicly at that, failing silently, suffering in silence. Why am I suffering in silence? I need help. Let me go ask for help. Marketing. And what has worked for me, and maybe for you as well, or what will work for you, is having a clear definition of what success means to you, of what failure means to you, of what boundaries mean to you, and sticking to those. You can always edit, refine them later through your experiences, but ultimately our mindset is connected to what we believe in, our attitude about the world, about work, about money. If we're making money on a weekly basis, but we're miserable every night, dragging our feet going to those jobs, why are you torturing yourself? I'm not saying to be totally impulsive and quit on the spot, but start changing your mind. Instead of saying, I hate this job, what do you love about it? Focus on that while you're working on getting out of that situation. You need something to keep you in there if you can't leave. Believe me, I've been in situations. I'm currently in a situation right now where I have a choice. And I'm afraid to make that choice, but part of me also knows that I'm not ready to make the choice I want to make. There's still some things I need to clean up and fix. I'm not trying to make it perfect, but I just know there's still some steps I need to take in order to set myself up for the next part of my life. And I can't be impulsive and just quit right now. I mean, I can, but I truly think that it's going to make my life a lot harder and difficult. Another month, another 2 months of enduring this, but while I focus on the good parts and use the rest of my energy to build up the other aspects of my business, I'm okay with that. I don't feel like I'm suffering. I don't believe that I'm suffering. I don't think that I'm thinking any less of myself. If anything, I'm being honest and honoring the fact that I messed up. I got a little too complacent. I got a little bit too comfortable and lazy. I'm not spending my money wisely. I got myself in a bit of a pickle financially, collected some debt, and now it's time to fix it. I'm getting myself out of that situation. I'm changing my mind. And through that process, remain accountable. If you need an accountability partner, find someone. But ultimately, this is all about creating safety for yourself. Safety within your mind, within your body, and in the world. How you show up publicly, how you earn money. One of the biggest shifts I made in my life was changing the way I thought about money and detaching my self-worth and my value to the dollar amount in my bank account. That was a huge mindset shift that I encountered just last year. I'm 41 years old. Unpacking all of the beliefs and doubts that were put on me from my youth, that I learned, that I created for myself, because it goes back to that taking accountability part, right? My parents, my family, those that I surrounded myself did their best with what they had. As I got older, I started to work for many, many years, just having fun with my money, which was great, but I didn't really set myself up for the future. So when I started to learn about investments and stocks and savings accounts, the different types, I realized, okay, it's time to grow up. It's time to mature in the way I spend my money. So that means I have to sacrifice going out. I have to go out a little less than I was before. Maybe that means taking a year off from drinking or partying. I have to do what I have to do to protect myself, to feel safe. Because I think, and I do believe that a lot of us are out here surviving because we don't feel safe. It could be due to past traumas, past experiences, disappointments, rejection, people playing you, stealing from you. There's a lot we have to work through in order to have our breakthroughs. And that's work I'm willing to do. I'll be honest with you. I'm tired of living in these old stories and feeling sorry for myself. I do have my moments. I'm human. I'm not perfect. But ultimately, I know that I have to get out of my way at some point. And when it comes to money being an issue, it's because I allowed it to be an issue. I allowed the fact that I don't have enough money. I don't make enough money. I'm in debt. Everything is so expensive. I can't afford this lifestyle. I allowed that to take ownership in my mind, to have several keys to different parts of my brain, which then impacted my body physically, emotionally, which led me to just be on my couch, depressed, sad, crying, screaming, praying for help, anything, pleading. It's because I allowed my quote unquote brokenness to break me. So start small. Start every day with a different affirmation or the same affirmation until you believe it. Pray, mean your prayers, and meet your prayers and your blessings halfway through. You have to put in the work. That's one thing I had to learn the hard way. There's no escaping the work. And you don't have to dread work. When you have a strong why, you know your numbers, you're educated, you put yourself out there. All of that is a culmination of your mindset and how you show up on a daily basis. You just have to show up and be present for that day. Yes, we have plans, we have dreams, we have goals. We'll get there. But how you approach each day and how you handle each day is what's going to feed into our future. How you reassess those bad days, or when you snapped on someone or you didn't respond the way you wanted to. It's all data. It's all information for us to learn and grow from. Not to live in and let reside in our brain to keep us down for decades. And I want to emphasize, you don't have to do any of this alone. You may start off alone, getting with yourself and God, a journal, if you have faith or you have a religion. I'm not pushing that on anyone. I'm just saying believing in God has helped me. But I also don't go to church. I don't claim a religion. But I do have faith. I read the Bible. I journal every day. I read devotionals. I read affirmations. And that works for me. I have also invested in coaching and therapy. Because after a while, writing in my journal, sometimes I feel like I'm talking in circles or that I'm talking to myself. I'm not equipped to see my blind spots. I'm not equipped with the language or the tools that can help me. I brought this up in a previous episode, but I want to bring it back to your attention. Is I spoke to a money coach about a month ago, and just after speaking about my journey, within 5 minutes, he immediately said, "Safety. You need more safety." And I thought he meant like a safety net, numbers in my bank account. And when he broke it down, he said, no, you don't feel safe with money. You don't feel safe in the choices you're making. And that hit me so hard because it was something so simple, but it was something I couldn't see unless I spoke to someone about it. Expressing yourself is a way to improve your mindset as well. Having those third-party outlets that aren't connected to your family or your friends or your community. Someone that can listen to you. How often do we go about our days absorbing people's thoughts and feelings and emotions as well as our own, but we never outwardly express them? Some people have their outlets that are the gym or the club. That used to be mine. Coaching, therapy, whatever it is for you, have it in your toolbox. Have those things readily available to you to keep your mindset, to keep you in the game. I've also found that when I'm blocked or when I'm unable to know what my next step should be, I just step away. I don't force it. So if I I do work in the real estate industry. If my focus is real estate 24/7 and I'm ready to take my business or my lifestyle to the next level, but I can't seem to figure out what it is, I'll step away. I'll do something completely unrelated just to get my mind out of those patterns that I've built for myself. Because now I'm entering a new season, so it's going to require a new mindset, new attitude, new approach. So wherever you're at in life, if you feel stuck, just step away from your situation for a moment. Do something you've never done. Legally, ethically, safely, like a pottery class is what I mean. Find joy in other aspects of life. Use other parts of your brain that you don't normally use. And then see where that creativity, what that stirs within you. And then take that momentum and create a system for yourself to where almost daily, you're now creating a new lifestyle for yourself. And you may still be in that job or that business that you feel stuck in. And it might unlock something to free you within that space to keep you there. Quitting isn't always the option. Even though I quit my job, I wouldn't ever tell anyone to just outwardly quit because everyone's journey is completely different. Now, if things are happening illegally, you're getting abused or anything of that nature, I would probably say, yeah, quit or get the authorities involved. But for the most part, doing the work is going to help you create the foundation that you need for the next phases of your life. And letting go of those negative mindsets by practicing more of what you enjoy in doing. Practicing telling yourself, hyping yourself up, because there's always going to be perceivably people that are better than you, faster, wiser, busier, richer, popular, all of those things. And you can use that against you to keep you down or as the fuel for you to keep going while you are chasing your dreams, your goals, sticking to your mission, your visions. You will be tested often, which is why having a strong why is going to hold you down in those moments. Create the roadmap. There will be times when you have to take a detour, a pit stop. But if you know you're still on that right path, keep going. We're going to continue this conversation in the new year. I just wanted to open up the dialogue, share with you all how I've gotten through the last 7+ years, approaching 8 years in January 2026 of business, entrepreneurship, being self-employed, a solopreneur, however you want to label it. Working for yourself is not easy work, but it is worth it. When you have a strong foundation, you know why you're doing these things, you know why you're showing up, what keeps you inspired, what keeps you motivated. You're willing to do the work. You're willing to trust the process, enjoy the process, embrace the process. This is all for you. No fear other people's will project on you, or doubts that other people project on you, or their beliefs will ever help you. So you have to create your own and take action. Believe in yourself daily. Even if you have to practice believing in yourself on a daily basis until it becomes real and the truth that you believe in, do it. I'm here to support you, encourage you, uplift you. Reach out to me. I want to speak to you directly. Maybe we can work something out in the future in coaching. Visit my website, LillianHernandez.com. All of that information will be in the description. If you need help planning the future, 2026 and beyond, I'm going to leave a link special for this episode only. It's called 2026 Planning. No matter when you see that link, as long as it's still active, I will honor that price so you can have a solid foundation for your future. It doesn't have to be before January 1st. It doesn't have to be on January 1st. It doesn't even have to be in January. You might need an August refresh. I will honor that price in that link, but you have to click on it to find out what that price is, because yesterday's price is not today's price, but for that link, it will be. But for now, thank you for listening to the Keys Podcast. This is episode 85, the 3-year anniversary episode. It was all about mindset, which was the final pillar that has held me up these last 5 years. Of course, God, my faith, my family, those that love me have helped along the way as well. But when you really break it down, I wanted to give you guys 5 keys, 5 pillars, 5 elements that have helped me and kept me focused when things have been great and bad, that I referenced each and every time, that were a part of my lifestyle, that I embodied, that I embraced. When I was lacking, I looked back at this list and said, oh, yeah, okay, my budget's off. Let me go look at my numbers. And when my budget was good, I realized, oh my gosh, I haven't been marketing myself. People don't know that I started a coaching business in 2025, that I officially launched my coaching business in 2025, that I am a coach. I said that 3 times so you guys can understand. My coaching business and spots are open and available. But it was because of these 5 pillars that I learned through my transaction coordinator business that allowed me to then venture out and do content creation, do coaching, and whatever else and whatever other ventures are ahead of me. So thank you again for your listenership, your loyalty, for showing up each week. Go binge watch the other 84 episodes that have been posted, because more is to come in the future. God willing, more interviews, more conversations about these 5 pillars and the next 5 pillars. I am approaching 8 years being self-employed. Who knows what those next 8 years, God willing, have in store. But I'm going to be documenting it. I'm going to be sharing it with you all. Visit my website, LillianHernandez.com. If you would like to be a guest on the show or know someone that would be a good fit on the show, feel free to email me, thekeyswork@gmail.com. And until then, I will be launching the Keys podcast, social media, and YouTube channels. So stay tuned for that. I will be introducing video in 2026, which is why I need to take some time off for the next few weeks to get all of that in order and to get my mind right, because mindset is key, right? And stay tuned. More to come, more podcasts, more conversations. We're going to go deeper, wider, and continue to have fun, inspiring, encouraging, uplifting. I love doing this show. I love meeting you all, talking to you guys, and helping you along your journey. Visit thekeyspodcast.com to stream old episodes and to learn more about the show and myself. And if you would like to schedule a one-on-one with me, all of that information will live in the description of this episode, as well as on my personal website, LillianHernandez.com. So until the next episode, the next 85 plus episodes, we shall see. I'm your host, Lillian Hernandez, but you can call me Lily like the flower. And this is the Keys Podcast. I'm giving you the keys. There are no gatekeepers here. Talk soon.